A threat has been growing deep in the Underhive, near the Dust Falls settlement on the edge of the abyss. There are rumors of zombies somehow being created using a melding of technology and dark sorcerous warp magic. Proctor Klaus Bauhain has used his sources in the Great Houses and his Precinct 1313, to send word to some brave souls to explore this area where the rumors are coming from and see if there is any merit in these claims. So join me as I build a ScratchBuild zombie generator and take you through campaign week 4, this time on JD in the Sump Sea. Welcome back to JD in the Sump Sea. I'm Jay, and today I want you to join me as I scratch build a couple of zombie generator terrain pieces for Necromunda. If Necromunda terrain building, painting, battle reports, and gang lists is your type of thing, then make sure that you bust out your Warhammer and smash that like button and smash that subscribe button and make sure you hit that black bell icon so you don't miss any of our videos going forward. I've been running a Dominion campaign at our local game store, oldguardgames. The online version of the store is Badger Games. Links to both of those in the description below. I've been running the campaign and I had to figure out what to do during the downtime week. I could just give everyone a week off. That felt a little bit too boring for me. I wanted to have some sort of spicy special mission to play. Since we have 16 players in the campaign, including myself, I knew we would have to run multiple multiplayer games at the same time. So I needed something thematic, something multiplayer, but also simple to run so I wouldn't have to be running around answering questions constantly, and so that if I needed to, I could still play in the game. So I came up with the idea of having something in the middle of each board that the players could interact with. The easiest thing to do is to destroy something in the middle of the board. So I had the idea to use Karloth Valois as the campaign's main nemesis. Now he's a character from Necromunda's first edition, and he was a rogue psyker that could control zombies. So there was the hook. Multiplayer, destroy something in the middle, and zombies. I'll make zombies generators that are in the middle of the boards that they'll have to destroy. And now I just have to build some. I had to probably build 3 depending on how many people showed up that week. So my partner and I took a trip to Michael's and then the Dollar Tree to find some interesting looking items for inspiration that we could use to begin our builds. I probably should have gone to the Dollar Tree first, since I found many similar items there for cheaper. But live and learn. I also have many bins full of random Games Workshop parts and other random bits that other people probably would just throw away. I brought 3 bins up to our dining room table, and our friend Steph came over, and we started building. I started out with a small plastic plate, which I bought from Dollar General. It was a package of 6 plates, I think. I bought them because I figured they'd be the perfect size for bases for the zombie generators. I'm just kind of placing things in different configurations, trying to see what looks good and what doesn't. Well, now I've got some ideas in mind, I start using hot glue to glue the pieces down to the base and to each other. The 2 main cylindrical pieces I bought at Goodwill. At Goodwill's, they usually have a section with a lot of small Ziploc bags with a bunch of random things. I always check them out to see if there's any interestingly shaped items. I think the larger cylinders were the shade pieces from a string of lights, and the smaller cylinders are metal napkin holders. The light blue cubes with holes in them and the rods attaching them together were also from Goodwill bags. When I started building Zombie Generator 2, I used a lot of design details from the first one, and I also took some of the lessons I learned from the first one and applied them to this new piece. Now I'd like to switch gears quickly, and before I start talking about week 4 and the scenarios we actually used these in, I want to first talk about the results from week 3. I've been keeping an Excel file with all of the results for each week, and I organize it by recording the games played. I record player 1, player 2, the winner, and which territory was won. I actually got to play for the first time this week, but I ended up losing to Mike P. As we can see here, most of the people who won last week also won this week. I also record the standings after each week is done. It includes the current wealth, the current rep, the current amount of opponent's fighters that player took out of action, and the territories they currently control. As you can see, one of the interesting things that happened was Mike P gave Nathan Z the wastes. It was an agreement they came to after week 1. Nathan had captured a fighter of Mike's, and Mike agreed to give Nathan a territory in the future to get his fighter back right away. This is anything that's not in the main rulebook that I do encourage you as an arbitrator to allow in campaigns, especially if you're there to be able to oversee the exchange. You don't always have to play things exactly by the book. In fact, it's a little bit more interesting when you take the book rules as an example and go your own way. Now, enforcers can give territories to other players in the campaign, or they can take money from the territories when they win a game, but they can't control and extract the resources from the territories like the other gangs can. So the exchanging of the territory for something else is definitely within the normal rules. In the Book of Judgment, they leave it open-ended as to why an enforcer player would give a territory to another player. In exchange for a captive makes a lot of sense. As you can see here, all the territories on the map are now claimed by a gang. It was lucky we had a draw the first week, because this past week we had 7 games and there were exactly 7 territories unoccupied because of that draw. We've been able to make it work with 18 territories, which I know the main rulebook considers a low amount for this number of gangs. What is interesting is that now that the occupation phase is over, we actually could add more gangs in the takeover phase, because the amount of territories in play will always be 18. I won't need to make any new ones if more people join the campaign now. Of course, anyone new will be at a disadvantage, especially after I show you what happened in week 4. But first, let's get back to some painting. I made a mixture of Mod Podge and sand and a little bit of water and made it into almost a paste. I then painted it over the model. This would give the models a nice textured look. I got this technique from D, and you should check out his terrain videos on this channel if you haven't already done so. Once the Mod Podge was dry, I just did one more watered down pass to make sure the terrain was nice and solid. Once that was dry, we took the pieces outside and sprayed them with 2 different rattle can paints, a black primer and a red textured primer from Rust-Oleum. Once they were dry from the primer, I started painting. I painted the one on the left first, and I replicated the color scheme to the one on the right, which I assembled and painted after the first one. I learned that heavily dry brushing burnt orange into crevasses was a good way to indicate rust, and that should be the first thing to do after the model is primed. Okay, let's talk about the scenario. First thing I wanted to do was make sure that the game didn't last forever. Sometimes one-on-one Necromunda games can take several hours, and I didn't want this game to last more than a few hours at most. So I figured there were several ways to make these multiplayer games go quickly. Number 1 was limit each player to only 4 fighters, only one of which can be a champion and the other 3 must be of lower rank, so Prospect, Ganger, Specialist, Juve. Next thing I did was make conditions for the endgame, which included things besides only one player having models on the table. I find it very annoying when a scenario requires you to simply kill off all of your opponents for the game to end. It's unimaginative and can become an unwelcome slog. The game ends after 5 turns, or if the zombie generator is destroyed, or if there's only one gang's fighters left on the battlefield. To destroy the generator, each gang has been given a bomb. Each player must secretly nominate one fighter to carry the bomb, and it's a double action to plant the bomb. In this scenario, when the bomb is planted in the end step, the generator is destroyed. If the fighter carrying the bomb is killed, then that player has no bomb and cannot plant a bomb on the generator anymore. The generator has 5 zombies surrounding it to start the game, and in the end step of each turn, it makes 1 new zombie. And all zombies on the board move and try to charge any of the player's fighters. It is about the simplest form of AI that you could make, and for a game like this, it will speed things along nicely. There are also 5 loot caskets that the arbitrator deploys on the table before the game starts. I made a table that gives rewards for opening loot crates, unlike what normally happens when you open one using the rules in the core rulebook. The fluff behind the crates is that these are the possessions of other parties that were out trying to find the zombies and their source. Each player begins in a corner and they roll off to pick and roll off for priority every turn. Each gang gets to pick 2 tactics cards. The zombies are basically humans with 4+ saves. They cannot be pinned, and when they are seriously wounded, they are prone, but stand back up in the end phase. They can't have the insane condition, and they can't be broken. They can be set on fire, and it will hurt them slowly until they die. They basically ignore all other effects of the blaze condition. Zombies can also have a very small chance of turning other fighters that they take out of action into zombies. I gave out decent rewards since no territories were at stake, and I wanted people who participated to get something out of it, since they were risking their gangers' lives in this mission. I wanted this to be an opportunity for players to work together if they wanted, and also an opportunity for backstabbing. I was also hoping that this could be a scenario that players who were behind on credits or rep could possibly get back in the game. So let's see how it went. We had 13 people show up, so we had 3 tables set up for 3 games. Game 1 had Banjo, Nathan Z, Paul K, and Jacob A. Jacob brought a plasma cannon which didn't overheat, but also didn't do very much during the game, unfortunately. Paul's Orlocks had some difficulties, and at one point, one Orlock was swarmed by zombies. He eventually had to voluntarily bottle and flee the battlefield. Nathan Z has the Fighting Pit territory, which allowed him to add 2 Hive Scum to his 4 Goliaths, but that didn't help him destroy the generator. Banjo's Eschers were able to get to the generator first and destroy it, winning the game. Game 2 was a 5-player match with Ian using Sisters of Battle models to represent Enforcers, and he also brought along an Ambot to this fight. Ty was only able to bring 3 Ogrins because his gang consists of 2 champs, 1 leader, and 2 Ganger Ogrins. Benjamin's Chaos Helots deployed in a corner hoping to earn some credits since at the end of week 3 he needed them badly. Mike P had brought along his enforcers who advanced between the towering structures in a tight formation steadily towards the objective. Jacob P brought his Dalak who snuck as close to the generator as possible while keeping to the shadows the whole time. Ty's Ogrins eventually proved too tough to take down, and he was able to destroy the generator and win the scenario. Game 3 saw Dale take his squats, who had been rolling an abhorrent number of 1s throughout the campaign, to this fight, hoping for his luck to improve. Mike A's Chaos Helot cultists had somehow arrived early and planted booby traps all over the battlefield, hoping to kill zombie and ganger alike. Christie's Escher had brought along 2 phalanxes to try and sneak up to the generator unseen to destroy it first, and Chuck brought his enforcers who had some luck with opening loot crates and luring zombies into booby traps. Sure enough, Chris's phalanxes were able to plant the bomb, blow up the last generator, and end the mission. I think I would modify this scenario in a few ways. First, I would probably reduce the rewards. The loot is quite good in this scenario. I would also add more zombies at the beginning of the game, and when generating zombies, I would have someone roll a d6 and then have a table that would then either have multiple zombies be created, or possibly different kinds of zombies like brood zombies or zombie dogs. I would also end the battle as soon as the bomb is successfully planted instead of at the end of the turn. Also, the phrasing of how the zombies turn fighters into zombies would be clarified. In the description below is a link to download this scenario as a PDF if you want to give it a try yourself. Let me know what you would do to modify this scenario. Okay, now let's get on to the standings after week 4. The standings after week 4 show a few things. You can see here that the gangs are all quite more advanced than they were after week 3. Wealth, rep, and opponents out of action are much higher for Chuck, Mike A, Chris T, and Ty C. Well, I hope that the week 4 game in Downtime will help those who may have felt like they were being left behind, and when the next phase begins in just a few days, anything can happen because now players will be challenging other players for the territories that they have, so people may begin losing territories. I also have some surprises in store for the campaign, including continuing the zombie storyline. But let's look at where we are with the triumphs and who's in the lead for which ones. Nathan Z has a decided advantage, having 5 total territories after getting one from Mike P in exchange for a prisoner. Mike A has the lead in both Slaughterer and Power Broker, although Chris T is close behind him in both categories. Chris T is the only one to have won 4 games, so his winning percentage is a perfect 100%. Someone will have to defeat him if he is to lose that title. In the packet I explained that only 1 triumph will be given out per person, so I will have to see how this all shakes out to see who gets what. Next time I'll be talking about the lore and the background of some of the gangs in this campaign, and also some lore for other things going on behind the scenes in the Underhive. I'll be back with an update in a few weeks. Let's take another look at the 3 zombie generators, the 2 I made and the one that my partner made. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching me build the zombie generator, and I hope you enjoyed me talking about the campaign weeks 3 and 4. But that's all I have for you this time, so once again, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.